So I'm going to get ready and prep my balsamic chicken. So I have olive oil. I got this at the farmer's market. I have just a regular balsamic, just one you like. I have salt. I'm using white pepper again. You can use normal pepper. I have a little bit left, so might as well use that. And then my Italian seasoning. Now to marinate all of this, you can either put it in a bag and then double bag it so in case of any leakage it catches it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be putting it in a container so I can control no leakage. But first I need to prep my chicken. So I have my chicken here. This is skinless chicken breast that I got at the market. You can wash this, you can cut the fat off of it if you like. I'm not going to do that since it's just me and I'm just cooking for myself. So I have a breast like this. What I like to do is I have a wet hand and a dry hand. So I just got back from washing my hands. This hand, which is my left, I'm going to make that my wet hand. So my right is going to be my dry hand, so it's not going to touch the chicken at all. That way I don't have any cross-contamination. I'm also using a cutting board with yellow on it. That signifies that this is meant for poultry. And so vegetables would be green, seafood would be blue, and red is meats. That way there's no cross-contamination with cutting boards. So since it's just for me, I'm going to put this other breast off to the side. And I'm going to be cutting this chicken so it's a proper portion. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking my chef's knife with my wet hand. I'm going to just have the chicken breast. You can have it either the tip pointing you or the top part pointing, your preference. But I'm going to cut it along the nice smooth side instead of the side that has all the bumpies on it. So I'm just going to be cutting it in half. So I'm going to take my knife and I'm just going to slice. You really want to focus on what you're doing so you're not slicing your hand. And then I will have two pieces, just like this. So I have two pieces. I have some leftover little bits that I can use for a salad. I'm still going to marinate this, but that would be nice little niblets for a salad. So I'm going to put these off to the side. I am going to put my knife down and then I'm going to weigh this chicken. Hold on, I don't want to cross-contaminate, so I'm putting my knife off to the side. So I'm going to take my board up and I'm going to put my scale down just so I know I have the proper portion. And I'm going to then, let me do this facing you so that way you can see what I'm doing. Every scale is going to be different. So I'm going to take my chicken breast off with my wet hand, place it down with my clean hand. Now I'm going to be touching the scale with my dry hand. I'm just going to even it out so it hits 0, and then I'm going to see how much this breast weighs. So it's perfect, 6 ounces. And that's how much chicken we should be eating instead of a lot more than what we should. So I'm just going to take this away. And I'm going to take this away because now we're going to start prepping. So I have my chicken. Now with my dry hand, I'm going to get my container I'm going to be putting my chicken in. Now I'm doing everything in one container. That way it's always easier at the end of the day, you clean as you go. So now it's in here. I'm done touching the chicken. So I'm going to go wash my hands so I don't contaminate all of my seasonings. So everything I'm going to be doing, it's up to your preference and you can eyeball it or you can measure it out. I'm going to be using white pepper because it's what I have right now. That way it can marinate in and do its magic. Then I have Italian seasoning. I'm just going to sprinkle it on top because it's all going to marinate together, so it doesn't really matter that much. I have my salt. like about salt is it helps bring out all the flavors. Then I'm going to do all of my wet things. So I have my olive oil that I got at my local farmer's market. And I'm just going to be heavy with this because it's going to help with the marinating of it all. Then I have my balsamic, anyone will do. And I'm just going to do the same thing, kind of just pour it all on because it all has to marinate. And so then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cap this, and I'm just going to write up here that it's my balsamic chicken and what date I started the marinade. That way, in case I get busy along the week, I know what this is and when I did it. That way the chicken doesn't go bad. So I have 1 pound of Brussels sprouts. I'm going to use this for my vegetables of my chicken. So I've already washed these, and now we just need to, oh, lost one. Oh well. Cut and prep it. So I'm going to move these all off to the side. I have a Brussels sprout. They come on a giant stalk. If you get them on the stalk, you can just cut them off or pull them off. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut them in half. Just like that. I'm going to place them in my bowl. This one has a little bit hanging off, so I'm just going to cut that little hanging piece. And then I'm going to cut it in half. Just like that. That way we have even cooking. So make sure when you're cutting, you're holding it and you're watching what you're doing. So you get a good half and you keep your fingers at the end of the day. Okay, so I have all of my Brussels sprouts cut in half. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some lemon on it. So Brussels sprouts really like acid, so like balsamic or any kind of citrus. It really helps with the vegetable. So I'm going to put some lemon on it, and then we're going to cook it up. And then I'll season it when it's in the pan. So I'll add salt and pepper when it's inside of our skillet. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my hand out and I'm going to squeeze right on top of my hand. That way I can catch all the seeds that come out. And I'm going to try to get all of that yummy goodness. Put the seeds right back in there, and then I'm going to do the other half. Now you can do this ahead of time. Let's say you can do this in the morning, let it sit for lunch, or maybe do it in the evening, maybe an hour or so before dinner, let it sit there, or you can do just like what I'm doing and right as you're cooking dinner. Okay, so I am all ready. I'm just going to move these around, and I'm all set to start cooking them. So I'm going to bake my chicken. I have set my oven to preheat for 350 degrees. So I'm just going to put my chicken in a pan. I have it lined with foil, so it's an easier cleanup in the end. So I have my yummy marinade. I'm just going to give it one last toss in here. Then I'm just going to place it all down. Let's put it this way. No way. It's nice. Okie dokie. So here we are, all set. And I have just a small little one. This one's going to cook fast. So this would be a nice one to put on top of salad. All right. And then I'm going to top it with cheese. You don't have to, but I like topping it with mozzarella and Parmesan. This is pre-shredded. Sometimes I just do the slices, and sometimes that's a little bit easier. But today I'm going to use what I have, which is the delicious mozzarella and Parmesan shredded cheese. So I'm just going to put a little bit on. Then I'm going to put this in the oven, and then about halfway through the cooking process I'll put just a little bit of more cheese on, because you can never have too much cheese, right? Alright you guys, I have a medium heat going. I'm going to place my pan on there, my skillet. The handle I'm going to put away from me, that way I don't knock it in case I have to walk away. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some olive oil in the pan. You can use butter if you like, but I'm going to use olive oil. I'm just going to wait for the oil to heat up. You know when it has heated up, because it looks like you put water in the pan. So I'm just going to wait for that to heat up. You want to make sure that you're not heating up your oil too high, and that's when it starts to smoke. So I have my Brussels sprouts. I'm just going to put them in, lemon juice and all. And I'm going to use this plate to put them back in when I'm done. That way I'm not wasting any dishes. So I have my Brussels sprouts hanging out here. While they're just hanging out, waiting for the party to happen, I am going to add some garlic powder to it. It doesn't have to be perfectly spread around, because as they cook, it's going to move around. And then I'm going to do some pepper. I'm using white pepper just because I have a little bit left and I want to use it. Then, while my kids get ready to play at the park, I'm going to put some salt on. So this is going to be what I'm going to be using to season it all. I also have some tongs I'm going to be using to help with the process of cooking. So I'm just going to take my tongs and kind of mix it all about. Now these are going to take a little bit longer than a normal vegetable to cook on the stove, just because they are a thicker, harder vegetable, but they're so yummy. So now, since everything has started to hang out together, I'm going to turn up my heat and really get this party going. As my dog in the background is drinking water and eating her dinner, we're getting ready to have ours. I'm just going to keep moving it around, that way I know it is evenly spread out. So I cut another lemon. Flavor profile is good. I'm just going to do the same thing I did before and just add a little bit of fresh lemon. This whole part is optional. It's just to add another little bam to it. So you can see it looks like my little Brussels sprout friends have had a fun time at the park and have a really nice tan on them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them off the heat, put them back in the bowl that I originally had them in. And they are ready to be served. Just got to get some stragglers. And we are ready to rock and roll. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sprinkle some of the same cheese that I had before on them. So I'm just going to sprinkle right on top so they have a nice cheesiness to it. And there we go. Now it's ready to be served with our chicken. So I took my chicken out of the oven. It has a nice gold brown on top of the chicken. So I'm just going to pick it up and then plate them. And I'm going to save this little one for later. And then I have my Brussels sprouts that I'm going to put right on. Just going to mix them up just a wee bit. A good healthy serving for us, right? Gotta get all that yummy cheese. That's the best part. Okay.